Greetings and salutations and welcome to Illegitimate Legends, the show where I like to talk about some of the more unusual League of Legends builds. And this week, I'm not even sure how it originally happened. Actually, yes I am. It originally happened because I decided, you know what, I'm going to play Sejuani. I'm going to play Sejuani because I haven't played her since the rework, and I'm not sure I played her before the rework either, but I've had her for a while, so I might as well, you know, do something I've never done before. And it happened to be a game where, you know, I was with my pre-made team, who are used to me doing crazy shit, and they had all picked their lanes beforehand, so I was like, okay, I'll just AD carry. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Don't worry, I got this. I can be a pig and AD carry. So I went the pig and I AD carried, and it was glorious. It was absolutely amazing, to which I attribute 90% of my success, not to myself, but to my support. And so, I kinda did some thought about it, learned a bit more how to play Sejuani, and then tried it a few more times, and lost consistently. But I also won. And when I won so hard. You cannot believe how powerful this can be. And it all relies on some special things to do with Season 4. One of those special things is Smite. Smite has a reduced cooldown. You're probably aware of this. You can take Smite as an AD carry. Increases your farm. Makes farming a lot easier because it's got really good range, and unless you're level 1, basically one-shots a minion of choice. Using it carefully, you will always get the cannon minion when the cannon minion arrives. You just pump, done, free cannon minion gold, allowing you to push your lane a little bit if you're not pushing your lane, or farm if you're completely zoned out. You can still be getting farm, and because you're a melee character, because you're a woman riding a pig with a mace, well, let's just say that the ability to farm is kinda really useful. And if you play correctly, if you make opportunities, if you make the right thing happen, you can out-farm. You can out-farm a standard AD carry like Caitlyn or Misfortune, actually by about 5 minutes in the game, because you've killed them a few times, because you've got an amazing amount of damage and you actually ignore basically everything they want to hit you with. However, the early game, the first 5 to 10 minutes, the laning phase, almost in its entirety, is built on your support. You need to be in some sort of voice chat with your support, or at least trust them a lot. You can't do it with a random. I've tried. I really have, and it never goes well. Now, I could blame all that on fighting Vaynes and Cogmores. Percentage damage kinda wrecks you, because you're a tank, and if you're up against one of them, you simply lose. There's nothing you can do about it. But if you have a support that doesn't really know how to deal with the fact that their AD carry is a woman riding a pig, you just go home. You've wasted everyone's time. You've lost the game already. That's just how it's going to go down. That's just how it is. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can play in a pre-made with a support who knows what they're doing, preferably a support that's calmer. And in the end, you essentially create a kill lane. That's what you're doing. You're creating a kill lane with Sejuani, but you're creating a kill lane that only requires one person to commit to that kill lane philosophy. Typically, a kill lane is two people queuing together, usually duo queue. They go something along the lines of Xin Zhao and Jax. Close and CC in abundance, and they just hope to completely wreck. And it's a massive gambit. Massive gambit, because if you fail to get the first kill, you're behind and you're not gonna get the second. Suddenly, their AD carry is fed to F, and your team has lost. Sejuani can do the same thing on her own, with a regular support backing her up, preferably one with Poke. Lulu and Karma are my favorites. If they are your support, they'll be supplying Poke early on, allowing you to get to the level 2, level 3 that you need to actually really hit hard. Then what you do, here's with Karma, you dash into them, you whack them with your empowered mace, so QW combo, and then you just run back through the minions, because you push them all out of the way when you charge through them. What your support does, if they're Karma, is they throw a Hadouken or one of their linky beams to the person you're beating up and throw a shield onto you. That shield gives you the movement speed, combined with the passive that you have as Sejuani, gives you the movement speed to get out, taking only 1 or 2 auto attacks before the enemy can really react. And they've just lost half their health, you've barely been scratched. you'll heal faster than they do, and you'll hit a whole lot harder in the early game. Your damage is stupid, just stupid in that early game. And it plays through right the way to the end game, which is really interesting to me. In the end game, team fights take the place of, okay, I'm gonna throw my mace in when the enemy's clumped so that we initiate this fight and they don't initiate on us. That's kind of your play in that scenario. Then you charge through their team. I like Ghost a lot, by the way. Like, I like Ghost more than I like Flash. And Ghost is really useful at this because you just run through their team, their AD carry is standing somewhere at the back, and then you charge your pig right into them, and they're dead before they hit the ground. You just do all the damage to the AD carry, suddenly their team is on the retreat. And because you're a tanky mother piggy, you don't care about the 3 other people trying to beat you down. And so you can then turn on them and wail on them as your heart is content because their carry is gone. And their carry was the only thing that had anything on you because you are a pig. Or in my case, you are a bear with a Staryu on a chain. You will never unsee that. Never ever will you unsee the Staryu on a chain. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie at all. This build is a gambit. Every time you play it, you roll the dice. Will it come up doubles? Yes. Sometimes you will get sixes. Once you've got your double six, you've won the game. And you've won in such a spectacular way that you'll find yourself screaming things that you barely understand the meaning to, and have no real reason to scream. You'll notice in the game that I'm playing in the background, I was yelling Nippon at the enemy. I'm not Japanese. Sejuani's not Japanese. I've only watched a little bit of anime. It has no context in this situation. But they're dead and I'm not, and that means that I get to do what I like. It's fun when you're winning. It's not very fun when you're losing. And you can still win a game when you're losing because you can provide CC and just slip back into that tanky role if you've lost your lane, but it's just not nearly as fun. It's not nearly as enjoyable. And if you find yourself out farming the enemy AD carry by the use of your amazing Smite. Smite is just so good right now, and you should really consider it taking it in your kill lanes. If you find yourself outdoing them, you kind of just, you feel good inside. You're like, I am better than you in every way, because I am a melee player. I am playing melee in a ranged-only lane, and I am winning, and you are losing, and that makes me happy. That's just it. Don't play it in ranked. I will hate you. I don't normally hate people for doing silly things, but if you do this in ranked, that's a bad decision, because doing things like kill lanes, gambits are not acceptable in ranked, because gambits are win hard, lose hard. Those are the two options. Playing a gambit in a ranked game is like committing your team to a slow and painful death. You won't necessarily lose, but if you do, it's your fault. But in normal games, go to town, baby. Have fun. Remember one important thing. When in doubt, go ham. Yeah, I'm just going to leave you with that pun. And of course, the item build. The item build I recommend goes something along these lines. So my build goes something along the lines of start with a health crystal and immediately build toward Phage. Phage synergizes so tremendously well with your passive. Just really, really well that you want it nice and early. It gives you damage. And extra damage is kind of what you're after, because you already out-damage a typical ADC champion because they're ranged, you're melee. And health buffs your W, which is your empowered strike, giving you, guess what? More damage. And then go for Sheen, because a Sheen hit on your W, that's just so much. It's like a third of their health in one swing. Beautiful. And at some point buy boots, but you definitely be wanting to get a Trinity Force nice and early. It's just, it fits with what this build is trying to do so incredibly well. And then build tanky items relevant to the situation. Almost always be getting Ninja Tabby as your boots, because you're typically taking a lot of auto attacks. Depends on the champions you're up against, but for the most part, very, very helpful. Like I said, build tankiness revolving around health and considering the defenses of the enemy. And Upna's Impaler is a welcome addition against high physical damage champions, as is a Sunfire Cape. Against magic damage champions, you want to be looking at things like a Banshee's Veil. Or maybe go the other route and get the Mercurial Scimitar, I believe it is called nowadays, which gives you the ability to, break crowd controls and deal increased damage while popping afterburners for extreme run speed. Once you've got 2 tanky items, or once you're satisfied with how well you're resisting the damage of the enemy team, definitely get yourself a Ravenous Hydra. That should be item number 5. It really only comes into play at the end game because it is your 5th item, and thus, if you're losing really badly or winning really well, you won't necessarily get it. But once you do get it, it has a significant impact on your survivability as well as your damage output, because suddenly you're hitting everyone in the mob, and that's just a nice thing to do. Finishing off, I recommend a Zephyr. You don't have that much movement speed, and you don't have any cooldown reduction in your build. Your cooldowns are reasonably long, and your attack speed is somewhat woeful. Zephyr fixes all these things while giving you 35% tenacity. With all those things combined, I think Zephyr is currently the best item in the game right now, and it will help you a lot. Your damage output will skyrocket, as will your ability to get to the targets that you want to be getting. For your masteries, take mostly defensive. I think my masteries actually only have 4 points. Let's take a look. Yeah, 4 points in offense and 26 in defense. Just defense, focusing on armor and resistance from champions, and then double-edged sword in offense, which seems really dumb because you're building a tank, but at the same time, you're a melee champion, so 2% additional damage while taking only 1% additional damage. That's nice. And get your attack speed from Fury, because cooldown reduction isn't that useful, and neither is Butcher in the offense line. Cooldown reduction isn't going to affect you when it's in such small quantities, so it's better to get that attack speed to allow you to hit harder, and more importantly, get your defenses up. Just so high. Just so high. Resist every hit that they throw at you, and wreck them as hard as you can. And don't forget to go ham! Oh, I love that pun so much. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time, maybe with something that's viable 90% of the time instead of 10. Good night.